East Hampton Police Department.
Hi, Detective Guidry, please.
One moment.
This bitch.
This is Detective Nan Guidry.
Hi, Detective Guidry, this is Chloe Taylor, Ethan McIntosh's mom. Where is Ethan being held?
Suffolk County Detention. I'm sorry, I thought you knew that.
Appreciate the runaround, thank you. Oh my God.
Now what?
Let's just go out there.
Great.
I am so tired of waiting.
Great. Let's fucking go there.
Let's go.
Good.
All right.
Good.
Go get changed.
Why would I?
Your age, a passing understanding of decorum, and camel toe that can be seen from outer space.
Hello, all. Welcome back to What's On Tonight, a podcast with elaborate, quirky, and unpredictable conversations about TV, movies, and more. I'm Becky.
And I'm Mandy.
Today we are covering Prime Video's show The Better Sister, Season 1, Episodes 2 and 3, titled Lotta Sky and Incoming Widow. Please note this is a spoiler-filled podcast, so if you haven't watched the episodes yet and don't want to be spoiled, just come back and check us out after you finished watching. And as we discussed last week, all of the episodes have aired, and we are going to plan to cover 2 episodes a week until we finish the season. Episode 2 was written by Regina Corrado, and episode 3 was written by Ariel Doctoroff, and both episodes were directed by Leslie Hope. My dear Mandy, would you like to share the synopsis for each episode?
Yeah, I would like to read the synopsis, but first, I think that we need to go over the fact that Regina Corrado and Ariel Doctoroff are 2 really, really good names.
They are.
Definitely sounds like they should be on like a, I don't know, Law and Order or something.
A spy show.
Spy show, maybe? Yeah.
Women of espionage.
Lovers Regina Corrado and Ariel Doctoroff are caught up in a dangerous game. Can they be rescued by their ex-throuple partner who ran off to Guatemala, Leslie Hope?
Let's hope she can.
Leslie Hope she can. All right, back to the synopsis. Episode 2, Chloe and her sister Nikki are back together, but things are bumpy, and not just because Detective Guidry seems too interested in Ethan. Episode 3, a day in court does not go as planned, and Chloe goes somewhere surprising for emotional support.
Surprising? Really?
Oh, who's surprised by that? Not me, girl.
I wasn't surprised either. I'm glad we got some good clarification. I'm a yay on both of these episodes. You could just give me however many episodes are left of Elizabeth Banks and Jessica Biel playing sisters and getting on each other's nerves, but having those sweet moments of support. They're dynamic. It's amazing. And it's like the mystery is fun and playing the whodunit and whatnot, but those 2 on screen together every time. We'll get more into it, but yay.
Yay for me too. And I don't want to get myself in trouble, but they're dynamic. It's very hard. Like, I definitely have a bias towards Nikki, and it's because in this relationship, to a certain degree, minus the murder and marrying each other's spouses and all that, and her raising my kids, because that's no. But the dynamic between them very much reminds me of me and Tony, my sister, in a lot of ways.
I think of the both of you a lot. I didn't know you all in your younger years, but when I am watching the show, I do often think, I bet that was Mandy.
Yeah. Well, in general, just their personalities in general are very, I mean, it's obviously it's not an exact parallel, but like I am very much the kind of dressed down. My hair's always a little bit of a mess. I don't really think too much about what's appropriate when I go out anywhere. I gave up caring about that shit a long time ago for the most part. I mean, like if I'm going to a nice dinner or whatever, I can clean up, but it's just not something I think about a lot. And my ethics can be kind of fluid. I've got the people I'm loyal to and I'm loyal to them. And beyond that, there's gray areas. And I'm also like, baby Becky, Stop it. Becky's moving her little baby Becky doll that I made for her when we did what we do in the shadows. We got plans for you, baby Becky.
I'm practicing.
Anyway, and Tony is more buttoned up. She is more of the everything has a place and a time, and she's more like she's not, that lady, but she's very fit and she's really regimented about her life and stuff. So it just very much reminded me of the two of us in a way.
All right. So, show moments. Going through the notes, I kind of pieced it together like we did last week, where it's just like each main character has a section. I
Yeah.
did separate. There's Chloe moments, Nikki moments, and then my favorite's going to be when we get into the Nikki and Chloe moments together. And then, of course, Ethan and the fuzz. So I'd like to start, if you're okay with it, and talk about the flashbacks that we got this episode, because I think we're finally starting to get some, well, not think, we are definitely getting some insight into the past with Adam and the girls, even back to their childhood. So the first flashback we get is at the lake, where it looks like Chloe and Nikki are having a good time. They get along. We get the impression Dad might be an alcoholic, have a bit of a drinking problem.
I got that.
Yeah. And then looks like Chloe almost drowns.
Yeah, but it was weird because it was like they're showing a flashback of this like happy memory that Chloe was having at the lake with her sister and her mom and dad, but overspersed with that. Is overspersed a word? I think I just made overspersed.
I don't know, but I like it. Let's go with it. I will make up a word.
I think it interspersed is what I was thinking of, but this is not really interspersed. It's overspersed because it's playing over the top of the flashback is people screaming and yelling like Chloe might be in distress. So I think we're going to get that moment. Like they were blending together in her mind. And I'm assuming that they're going to both have to do with that lake. And I also think that it's going to tie into her reaction when we get to that next flashback about the pool and maybe why she reacted the way she did.
So then the next one we get is, this one,
Girl,
as Peter Griffin would say, this one really grinded my gears. Or is it ground my gears?
Grinded?
Grinded.
Grounded.
Grounded.
Roads. We're not on helium.
Roads. Oh, that was wonderful. Great reference. So
I hate Adam. Let me just say right there, these two episodes, and I don't want to jump ahead, they have confirmed for me that there is more to what's going on with Adam. I absolutely believe a lot of this is going to be dual flashbacks of how he manipulated both of these sisters over the years.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see how each sister's flashback, if they match, are they completely different? Are there some similarities?
Yeah, they're both unreliable narrators. Yeah.
What reality are we seeing based on whose reality we're seeing? I'm very curious. But so he comes to Chloe's apartment and we get the clue that she's the one who ended up signing the papers eventually to get Nikki into a psychiatric facility. And she lets us know that her mom is not happy, which will bring us to another flashback shortly after. But what really pissed me off about this is, you talked a lot last episode about how you think he manipulated both of these women, and he is the reason why a lot of the trauma and drama is happening between the two sisters. And I agreed to an extent, but I didn't think too much of it. But when she asked him to go and like literally was saying, please, I want you to go, and he wouldn't leave and then advanced on her, that was disgusting.
Creepy and gross. And also, it's hard for me to talk about the flashbacks because I think they all tie together. It's just like in that first one where you literally have a moment that she's envisioning overlaid with a moment that she's not seeing, but clearly was another episode in their life. So then you get this visit where Adam comes up and he tells her, thank you. We would have never been able to keep Ethan safe. She's obviously given a recommendation for a school. That was clearly after the incident with the pool, which was clearly after she's postpartum and Chloe comes over and Nikki is incapacitated. So it's hard for me to formulate my thoughts without going through all of them, because when he comes in and he goes over and they start making out and you could tell she feels a lot of guilt about it, they were already having an affair. I think she had tried to cut it off.
Yeah.
But I think part of the reason that he was able to get her to so easily believe whatever his version is, I don't think that pool scene, and I'm trying not to jump ahead.
No, I mean, we can go ahead if you want to.
Well, so what Becky's got, if you don't mind me reading them out, what Becky's got written down here as far as the flashbacks are the lake, Adam's visit to younger Chloe, Adam's murder scene, Chloe talking to mom about Nikki, and Adam finding Ethan and Nikki in the pool. So I think when he came to visit younger Chloe, they had already had an affair. Honestly, I'm going to throw out a theory that I have here. Obviously, that they've known each other for a long time. I'm going to just make a prediction that I could be wrong about, that he was initially Nikki's boyfriend, or excuse me, Chloe's boyfriend when they were young. Or maybe Chloe just had a crush on him or something like that. And then he starts dating Nikki and marries Nikki. But then when things go south with Nikki, he knows that Chloe has these feelings for him. So he starts manipulating her to get out of the relationship with Chloe, to help him get out of the relationship with Chloe. So I think that's what's going on there. And that's part of what's layering all of this guilt and fraught relationship between her and her sister. And so what really grossed me out was, like you said, he comes over and they start making out, but you can tell that she has already tried to break this relationship off, and he ain't having it.
He's not listening to her.
No, he's a controlling, manipulative, and he knows how to push her buttons. And it did work. Got what he wanted out of her that time.
I want to talk a little just for a minute about the flashback where she's talking to her mom about Nikki's addiction and how, like you said, moving on to when Adam comes home and and again, we're seeing this from Adam's point of view. I'm assuming this isn't so much a Chloe flashback because she wasn't there, that we're just getting a flashback.
Right.
That's going to help explain why Chloe made the decision to sign those papers. Which I don't think, if this unfolded the way it did with both of them almost drowning in the pool, I don't think Chloe made the wrong choice. I think she did the right thing.
If that's how it really played out and there was no other extenuating circumstance, that's what we don't know yet. Because it could be that this was just the result of what happened. Because Nikki obviously has a substance abuse problem. We've already established that. So we go to the scene where she's postpartum and she's clearly high as a kite. And Nikki is telling her mom about her frustrations, or excuse me, Chloe's telling her mom about her frustrations with Nikki. And Adam said, that I don't remember what it was that Adam had said. And she brings up Adam. They're already having an affair at that point. I truly believe it. And when the mom says, you need to think about why you're so willing to jump on this. This is not about Ethan. I think what the mom was saying is, I see you and I know that you've got some shit going on behind your sister's back with this guy, and your feelings about this, they're not as pure as you just wanting to make sure that Ethan is okay, that you've got some resentment that with your sister that you need to work on.
And I agree with you. Like we said last week, this is not black and white. This is a very gray issue. However, regardless of Adam, regardless of the affair, I stand by Chloe making the choice to sign the papers.
Yeah, I agree with you. If it's just that Nikki really was high and put her kid in danger, then I 100% agree with you. I just don't know that that's what it is yet. We got to wait and see, because they didn't give us enough this week to make that determination. Like you said, it seemed to be a flashback from Adam's point of view. So who knows what really happened yet? We just don't know.
Yeah, I saw it more as a flashback of a reality of what happened. Adam's dead. We aren't going to get his viewpoint.
Right.
That this one to me was a standalone factual thing.
I just don't know.
I stand by her making that choice, but I do like you made the point I wanted to make about the issue with her mom and the way her mom was very, you need to look inside yourself. Like, yeah, there's more to this than you caring about this kid or whatever. But I do also think, what do you expect her to do when it's obvious this woman is a danger to herself and to her child?
But maybe that's what I'm saying is that, and I don't know yet, just for instance, just devil's advocate, because we don't know. They showed that scene with no context. You already know that she's an addict and that she has shown reckless behavior. So it is possible that she was high and she put herself and her child in danger. I definitely think that's the story that Adam told Chloe. And I understand why Chloe would believe that based on Nikki's past behavior. But what I'm saying is, I'm holding out the possibility that that is only part of the story, that maybe Nikki was actually trying to get sober in that moment and it was complete and total accident, that it wasn't her being negligent of their child, that there might be some kind of extenuating circumstance. But Adam lied about that to get rid of this wife that he doesn't want anymore. But I'm leaning towards that. I feel like deliberately that scene was to let us understand why Chloe made the choices that she made, but I feel like there's going to be more to the story.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah, we're totally in agreement. We have discussed that we both had siblings with addiction issues. And in that moment, in that situation, I've been the Chloe that's like, get those kids far, far away from her. She is no shape to be a parent. So I agree with you. I think that given what Chloe believed, I would have made the same choice. I'm just not sure that what
It's
she was
not black
told.
and white.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move into the next point, which is Chloe.
The tapping was awesome.
I loved that. I loved her anxiety coping mechanism. And Connor and I were discussing therapy, and we're both advocates for it. And he was telling me how this is something that his therapist had him try a little different, but it's a way to, when you start experiencing PTSD or something like that, or high anxiety, that the tapping, either like, tapping the left side of your chest, then the right side, or something to distract, a way to change your mindset from with that trauma or whatever. I'm not explaining that very well, but I think you get the point. Really thought that was very cool to see her doing that. I don't think it really worked the way she immediately, she's like, where's that music? It's just music. It's okay. And then she goes into the kitchen, sees Nikki being Winky Fingers, the perfect mom, making crepes, breakfast for her kid, listening to music. And she, shuts the music down. And she's not coping well with Nikki being such a full present force in her life right now.
I love the tapping too. I've been meaning to look into that more because I have friends and therapists who have recommended that to me.
I forget what it's called. There's a specific name for it.
Oh, really? I've just always called it tapping therapy, but I think it ties into just something that I already practice in cognitive behavioral therapy, which is trying to reframe, like you talked about, reframing your thought process.
You said that way better than I did.
Well, and that's part of it, but also I don't have the technical term for what, because reframing your thought process is what she was doing with that whole, it is okay. I am upset that my husband is murdered. That's, part of reframing your thought process. The way that mental health aids work best is like an integrated approach. And it's something to do with like when you're in high anxiety, putting yourself back in the moment in your body. It's the same theory as like looking for one thing you can touch, two things you can smell, three things you can hear. You know what I mean? I don't think I'm doing that in the right order, but have you ever heard that?
Mm-hmm.
It's trying to ground yourself in the moment and not project too far into your fears. Problem with Chloe is she's got too much repressed.
Way too much. She is a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
Which, when we get to her conversation with Catherine, she actually lets a little bit of that out, which I was impressed with.
Yeah.
She finds out from the cybersecurity guy that the call is coming from inside the house.
Literally.
Whoever's sending these threats, it's originating from, if I understand correctly, it was either a computer that belongs to her company or they were generated from an IP address inside the company. I didn't pay too close attention to see exactly how that happened.
I think they just said the IP, which would mean it could be one of the pieces of equipment in the office itself. But honestly, I still think that there are tiny little men inside my computer typing out everything and waving fairy dust. So I only vaguely understand what an IP address is. I think you can like register one to anywhere, but you could be anywhere in the world.
Yeah, there's some serious work that goes into that. So yes, it could be somebody in California with an IP address from Russia routing emails to us here in Tennessee. So
Yeah.
that's why IP addresses are very difficult to track down.
Yeah.
I thought that was a interesting note. So then she finds out that Adam rented a lift on his personal credit card to Queens, which ends up being a very interesting part of the story when we get into conversations with Bill and Jake and the cops.
Why is she not even entertaining Chloe, not even entertaining the idea that he might be having an affair?
She does.
She didn't, though. They told her that, and she was just very dismissive of it. She was like, we had a great marriage.
Well, because she's talking to the cops.
I don't know.
Remember, she's got that outward persona.
She does.
Projects, but by the third episode, especially with the burner phone, she thinks is Adam's. I think she's starting in her mind to think, okay, he's messing around with somebody else, but she cannot admit that to anyone else because it would completely break this facade that she has spent the majority of her life building up because outward appearances mean everything to her.
Maybe. I didn't get that, though. I got that she didn't seem to consider really at all that it might be because everything I saw is that she thought that the burner phone had to do with the Gentry group. Like that was her. I didn't get the subtext of her thinking that it was an affair. I felt like she was very dismissive of that.
I felt like the dismissive was fake. Like she was having a feeling that he was cheating on her, but she wasn't going to whatever she was saying out loud was in front of someone else for the most part. And she does not want anyone thinking that her marriage was anything but perfect.
I agree with that, but I don't know. Maybe I missed that though, because this show is so like when I'm trying to take notes, literally I'm like turning away to take a sip of water and I'm like, wait, what just happened? And then I have to go back and rewind it. So I may have missed something.
But again, it's fun to see the differences that we get out of certain scenes. And
I guess it means they're doing a good job. Yeah.
Yeah. So a couple of more things here. I want to talk about our time with Catherine. I don't know that I don't know if I fully trust Catherine. And when we get to episode 3, she really,
I don't like her.
I liked her a lot in the first episode, but as each episode is going on, I'm liking her less and less. But I do like the way when Chloe really starts to show her emotions about her husband's dead. Now she's got to face all of this and what it's going to do to the company that she's worked so hard for. And Catherine tells her that it's awful. And then she's like, your staff is waiting to hear from you. And she puts on that armor. I think Adam had an actual coat of armor or whatever, that chainmail that he wore. Chloe has one, but hers is, you don't see it.
Good call. Good call putting those two together. Because so much of the show is about people, what lies on the what's on the surface and what lies beneath. So I didn't put that parallel together because I do think her, Ethan, and Adam all had secret lives and they had armor on. I just referred to that lady as, I think her name is Lorraine Hansberry.
Catherine.
No, the lady that plays her. I just
Oh,
refer
it's
to her.
Lorraine.
I just refer to her as Tasty's godmother from Orange Is the New Black.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I've been hating her since then. So I don't trust her. I think at first, like you said, it felt like maybe she was someone who was genuinely on her side. I do think she sees her as a protege. And I think that, and I don't know if it was in this episode or I think it was in episode 3, where Nikki makes a comment, or Nikki makes a comment about, weird substitute for mom. And she says, actually, she's more like a sister. I do think that Chloe sees Catherine as a mentor. And I think it's because Catherine has helped her foster the ability to do what she is naturally inclined to do, which is put on a front for the rest of the world.
Taught her how to build that armor and show the world which we'll get more into when we get to episode 3, because that there's a very important conversation that happens there.
Yeah.
I agree with you. All right. Only really things about Nikki solo that I have are, I liked the scenes of her going through Chloe's stuff and almost like reminiscent when she's smelling Adam's shirts, and almost like she's going back to maybe when times were good.
I want to point something out about that. That when she was hugging Nikki or Chloe in that flashback where she was postpartum,
she smelled her.
And she was like, "You smell so good," because she smelled like Adam. That's why.
Ah, yes.
That is absolutely what was going on there.
My absolute favorite part was when she finds the 20 in his pocket and stuffs it in her bra.
My favorite part is when she gives that 20 to the
Marty. Yeah, I think I have that. That's in episode 3, right?
I can't. Yeah, I think it was at the beginning of episode 3. Yeah. But yeah, I love that. Nikki's got some morally ambiguous habits. Yes. Just wanders through, finds the 20, stuffs it in her bra. Yet another Mandy moment. Because
you know me.
Yeah, both of us, you're right. We will use the old booby holders.
I remember one night being at the corner bar that I met my husband and I used to frequent a lot back when I was up for leaving the house. And one night we were sitting at the table and I pulled my keys, my phone, money, and something else out of my bra. And the guy that one of our friends, Grant, was like, "You put all that in there?" I'm like, "I mean, yeah, your bra,
Yeah.
Look how much I got a lot to carry up here. And so there's a lot of room to put things. And when you don't want to grab a purse, I'm putting it in my bra."
People ought to start putting pockets in women's shit. We wouldn't have to do that.
Exactly. Which I'm glad to see a lot that's happening.
It has happened more often. Yeah.
So more on Nikki. We find out that Chloe can't get a hold of her because her voicemail's full, and she's obviously got some voicemail saved from her mom,
who seems to be passed.
Yeah. So which makes me think the woman she was taking care of early on in the first episode is probably just somebody she was being a caregiver.
Who's Debbie?
I don't know. Maybe Debbie's the one that she was caring for?
Maybe Debbie's Adam's mom. Because we can't. I just feel like it's significant that they haven't explained who that woman is yet. She had a bunch of missed voicemails from Debbie, and then she had a bunch from her mom.
And it is obvious that she had a very good relationship with her mom.
Yeah.
And Chloe did not, but it seems that Chloe had, I'm not saying it was a good relationship because I think their dad was a dick, but it seems like she had a better relationship with her dad than Nikki did. Because when we get to episode 3, we'll see how the dad did not seem to like Nikki at all.
No. And that was triggering. Brought back some memories.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is really going to be important going forward, is that they had very different loyalties and different relationships with their mom and dad. I think that's going to be another part of understanding how they got to the point that they're at in their relationship.
All right, so moving into Nikki and Chloe together, I'm going to run through a few things that I observed, and then we can discuss what your thoughts. So First thing, Nikki with the cops is she I know she's had experience, obviously had experience with cops and has a little bit better understanding, but she killed it when taking care of Ethan when those cops showed up.
Yeah.
And so
Chloe's being naive.
yes, very naive. And that's another point to talk about the two of them together, how different they react to these situations. I don't think Chloe recognizes the severity of the situation. Nikki does. I also don't think Nikki is giving the emotional severity of the situation the way Chloe is secretly when other people aren't looking. Does that make sense? Like they're each other. I wrote down she is the yin to her yang. They're balancing each other out right now.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I think Chloe is reacting emotionally more. You're right that when people aren't around and aren't seeing, I think that it is taking a much heavier emotional toll than Chloe is showing on the outset. And Nikki is more one to break down in the moment, or at least to react emotionally, not break down, but to react emotionally in the moment than Nikki is.
I loved when she kicks the cops out of the house. Like, basically, I'm not sure we need to be sharing all this. And she kicks the cops out, and she's like, "Yep, kick yourselves in the ass on the way out." Elizabeth Banks' delivery on these, I've got so many quotes, and if it's okay, I'll run through a couple more.
Sure.
She's dropping facts to Chloe. She's giving Chloe the reality. This is what's happening. This is what you need to do. And Chloe ends up calling Jake to get a referral. And while they're arguing, Nikki looks at Chloe and says, "You need to go fuck yourself." And Chloe says, "Is that one of the 12 steps?"
That's funny. They know how to push each other's buttons.
They really do, but sometimes it's obvious that there's a strong dislike, but sometimes it just makes me feel like warm and it's going to sound weird, but just like warm and funny sibling bickering, like the seat in episode 3. This we'll get to, but when she's moving the seat.
Yes.
That's something I would have done in my brother's car just to annoy him for fun, not because we didn't like each other or something like that.
No, you just learned how to push each other's buttons. That is the weird thing about siblings. Like, my sister and I are very, very different people, but at the end of the day, we still love each other, even though we might genuinely hate each other sometimes. Like, we've had some knockdown, drag out fights in our lives. Not physically since we were little kids, but, as adults, we've had some pretty heavy arguments and we've seen things very, very differently. But I know deep down my sister loves me and she knows, I hope, that I love her very much. And when it's us against the world, then we will usually have each other's back. And that's just the complexity of siblinghood. It's not black and white.
Yeah. So the cops show up with the warrant and Nikki is freaking out because Detective Matt is going through her. She obviously has a necklace business.
Yeah. Which is so it's just that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. He's like, "What do you do with this?" He picks up like a little hammer and she's like, "Stick it up your ass." I loved it when Gloria Rubin showed up. I love her and I am trying everything in my power, y'all, to get a hold of her to see if we can't get her for an interview for the show. So
do you think her and Jake definitely had a relationship, right?
You think Michelle and Jake did?
Yeah, I totally do.
I didn't see it as a sexual relationship.
Yeah, I think they did.
I do think they have a history, but I felt it was more like a, law school, something, friendship.
I think they dated.
Okay.
I think they fucked.
Maybe.
Because when she was at that diner with him and she knew what he wanted to eat, she was very protective of him. There was an undertone there. I think they dated. I think they had a relationship.
I could see where you're seeing that. I didn't get it, but I wasn't looking too deep into it either.
Jake. Run, Jake.
Yeah, we'll get to Jake.
Sweet Jake.
Jake's more for next episode. There's a little bit of Jake to talk about this episode, but finishing out the Chloe and Nikki together. Again, I've said it so many times and I'm going to continue to say it, but their dynamic together is so good. And, Nikki snapping at Chloe, why was he talking to the police without a lawyer? And Chloe says, I don't know. I've never been arrested like you. But the best scene of what I've seen so far was when Michelle is in the office talking to Ethan, and you can't hear them, but you can see them bickering on the patio.
That was so funny.
So
you couldn't
funny.
hear anything they said, but they're out there just going at it.
So then when they do go out to you, so you can hear them and they're still bickering, and Nikki's like, why don't you just stop kissing the cops' asses, and starts making the kisses noises and calls Detective Matt Borat.
That was funny.
But they're fighting, and then all of a sudden Nancy, her name gets mentioned, and they're like both on the same page. Yeah, Nancy's a dick. And she's just going off on her. And Nancy's like, you can re-enter the residence, ladies. And Elizabeth Banks is like, re-enter the residence, whatever. And then they're still just having that.
They're still fighting with each other, but they stop long enough to turn on the detective. Yeah. That's one of those I totally recognize that, and you probably do too, with sibling relationships where you can be at each other's throat, but when you have a common enemy, family's back together again.
I can say what I want about my family, but you start talking about my family,
yeah,
we're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
They just, they're so good together.
Yeah. Especially in episode 3. And I know we're getting there, but
yeah, we're almost there.
I love that we start seeing more of that, of them bonding in episode 3. It's subtle, but it's there.
Yes. But losing the story.
Yeah. The jaggedness.
Yes.
It's not all kumbaya, but you start to see more of them leaning on each other. Anyway, go ahead.
All right, so I'm just going to real quick run through what we learned about Ethan. First, we see him. He doesn't seem to be having trouble sleeping. We see Ethan sleeping quite a bit, and then
That's what that weed do for you.
Yeah, the weed be letting you know.
Yeah.
So then there's he discovers the article. He's freaking out, obviously, about the gun, him bringing the gun to school. And once Michelle, the lawyer, shows up and he hears that the office is off limits, he takes that burner phone and hides it in the office. So I'm very curious about that burner phone.
Mm-hmm.
Find out from the cops that he lied about his alibi, which he does confirm. And then he has that little talk with Michelle where she basically just says, shut up, don't say a word without me present, repeat it multiple times, and then he gets arrested.
That burner phone. Oh, I can't say it because I'm going to wait till we get to episode 3. That burner phone. That burner phone is going to end up being a big clue. I believe that.
I am curious to see if we both have the same thought on that burner phone.
Okay, we'll wait till we get to episode 3. Yeah, poor Ethan, man. Just that
Great
poor
acting.
kid. You feel so bad for him. I hate his dad.
Which we'll get into next episode 3. Yeah, that really bothered me. All right, so last main point, the fuzz. We start with them having a meeting with the chief, who was very funny. And they're going over the evidence that they've got. It's discovered that the person who sent the DVD was a woman. And apparently she was very into January 6th. And Nancy's like, she has an alibi, but I'd still love to meet her. Could be fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, come to Tennessee and go into any Walmart, Nancy.
Yeah, for sure. We discovered Nancy hit a guy with a phone book.
Yeah, so, that's awesome.
I'd like to get a flashback on that one.
Yeah.
She's so hateable, but I can't help but like her because she seems.
I don't hate her. I think she's doing her job.
But if
I know why they hate her,
or you're the family,
for sure.
They make you want to hate her. But she is so good at what she does, and it doesn't seem to me that she is
She's not trying to railroad anybody.
No, she's going solely off the evidence and letting that evidence guide her.
I think she's wrong. I don't think it was Ethan.
No, I don't either.
But I absolutely understand why she's arrested him.
I think I figured out who done it.
I don't know that I think I figured out who's done it. I have a theory I brought up last week. We'll get to it in episode 3.
So they bring in Jake for an interview, and there's a very complex description of what the Gentry Group does. And Jake basically says they help people build stuff. And it's brought up that he was scheduled to meet with them, but the last meeting Adam took by himself. And I feel like Nancy's trying to establish motive that Jake could have killed Adam because Adam was trying to leave Jake out so he would make partner over Jake. That's what I'm guessing. I want to know who this contractor is he had dinner with after the event where she got the award or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Well, did they establish that? Like, was he meeting with really meeting with the contractor? Was that established?
It wasn't solidified, but the way I got out of the next episode is that his alibi checked out.
But did it just check out because his boss okayed that, and then you turn out to find out that the boss is trying to keep things from the cops, and so
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's one of those loose ends. Because I have a theory that is only vaguely formed, I'm questioning whether he was really meeting with the Gentry Group. But I do think that something's going on there. Like, there is a big story there that we don't know.
Yeah, which a lot more info comes out when we get to episode 3. All right, so field notes. The only thing I have, Bill is shady as fuck. He gets the lift receipts from Chloe, which comes to play in episode 3. And then we discover that Adam came from a rough childhood.
Yeah, well, here's one of the first times that I'm going to have to say that you were right in last podcast, is that I thought that he was like wealthy when he came into their lives, and I was wrong about that. You were right that he seems to have been as poor as they were.
There'll be plenty more opportunities towards the end of this episode for Mandy to tell me 2 plenty.
3 total.
Anytime I get to hear you say I'm right is plenty.
Right, because that makes like 4 times in our entire 30-year friendship. So
sure.
Soak it up. Stop it, baby Becky.
She's watching you.
You don't get all up in our grill. Quit looking at me like that.
All right, episode 3. We start with flashbacks. First one we see, I'm just going to go in order, but if you want to, once we get there, talk about how any connect, just go for it. So we start with Adam and Chloe having a discussion with Ethan about taking the gun to school. And they very much make it look like Ethan wasn't there to use that gun, that he was going to toss it in that little river by the bridge at school, but he got called away and didn't get to do it. And then his friend saw it in his backpack. This is Adam Dick number 1 moment in this episode where he's rightfully angry at the boy, but it's evident that he's been super douchey to pretty much anything Ethan does or says.
Yeah, I hate him.
Second flashback is Ethan getting busted for Winky Fingers holding drugs for a friend. Kevin.
Kevin. Do you think him and Kevin are boyfriends?
I thought about that. I am going to, as of this moment, tell you that I think Kevin had something to do with Adam's death.
Oh, I don't see that at all. Really?
Yes, and as we go through, I will tell you why I think that.
All right. I mean, maybe that could still tie into what I think, but maybe I don't know. We'll see.
I'm not saying he was the sole person, but there was a second gunman on the grassy knoll. Okay, just hear me. I don't know. Maybe I'll be wrong at the end of this, but I left this episode feeling that he has a lot to do with it. So then next one, then this one pissed me off so bad. Ethan and Jake and Adam are all out together, and Adam shames Ethan for how much food he orders and makes a comment like under his breath that, well, if you would exercise. I have seen parents do this to children that I love dearly, and I have seen the stigma that it puts on those kids, and I hate it. I hate this. So if you're listening,
Yeah, I've seen it in my
don't
family.
shame
yes.
your children. You just don't shame your kids. You don't
Right.
food shame your kids, period.
Well, I'm going to say a couple things about that. One, the Adam flashback to like how he talks to Adam, and Nikki's flashback to her dad and the way that he talks about her, which I know we're about to get to, but I think those tie together. I think Adam is to Ethan in some ways the same way that Nikki's father was to her. I also think that if you look throughout that episode and the one before episode 2, I believe, I think that you can see evidence that both Ethan and Chloe have eating disorders and they just manifest in different ways.
Chloe and the crepes in last episode, almost like a binge eat, which
Right.
I recognize because I have had a very unhealthy attachment to food. I eat my emotions when I'm feeling things I can't control. I eat.
Mm-hmm. I'm seeing a story put together here of both of these women had a father that to some degree was impossible to please, and they had an unstable home life. Their father was in some ways like Adam, and they both had daddy issues.
I think he pitted them against each other sometimes.
For sure. Yeah. But their father, yes,
And
probably. And Adam too. And I think that that's how he was able to weasel into that dynamic because psychologically, unconsciously, they already responded to that on a daddy level, a authoritarian figure level. And I think that what they're doing a good job of showing is that Adam has created through his actions in their lives these wounds in all of these people where they were never perfect enough, and it's coming out in all of these different ways. I think that you can see that Adam has given all of these people wounds that have made them at one point in time, because I think Nikki's past it, but I think at one point in time, he's made all of them feel like they have to shove parts of themselves down and be perfect. And it's coming out in all of these ways. Like, if you look subtly, you see that they have, like, yeah, Nikki had the more obvious addiction, but I think Chloe has an issue with food, and so does Ethan.
So next is this one. This was probably the most confusing flashback is when they're out in the woods and they find a dying rabbit. I'm assuming they just found it. And the dad tells Nikki to put it out of its misery, but she hesitates. And Chloe steps up and says she'll do it. And she does it. So the dynamic that they've laid out thus far is that Nikki is the big sister. She's the strong one. She's watching out for Chloe, and Chloe is the more timid, meek one that Nikki is constantly trying to protect. But here, it was the opposite dynamic. So I hope we get more insight into that because that one really just kind of left me a little bit confused, other than to introduce this knife.
Yeah. That's where it came from. I think we're definitely going to get more about that. And again, maybe this is just some of the projection of me and my own sister, where there have been different times in our lives where I've been the protector because I'm the older sister. And then when I would get into situations in our teen years where there were times that she felt like she had to defend me, and she did. So I think that's very much going to be part of their story, is showing at different times where they felt protective of each other.
That makes sense. And then lastly, Nikki hears mom and dad talking. I assume they're talking about planning maybe that lake trip that they go on.
Yeah.
This one gutted me because the things that I heard from my dad a lot growing up.
Yeah.
And him saying that, Nikki only cares about herself, that she's not right in the head. and you can't tell her anything, and that she's been like that since she was a baby. And all mom says is, well, they come out how they are.
I think you're going to find out that maybe his issue with Nikki is that she doesn't like or trust him because of his alcoholism, and that's
100%.
that's what the deal is.
All right, so let's move on to the next point. Let's talk about Chloe. So Catherine comes over and basically tells Chloe that the board might possibly want to replace her because she's dealing with the fact that her husband was murdered, and that grief is something people connect to, and basically telling her, use this to create an opportunity for the company. I was like, read the room, Gloria. That pissed me off.
Yeah, she don't give a shit.
No.
She's, well, she is like, it's almost like from what they've shown us that she is the female version of Adam's boss. And they're just opposite sides of the coin of each other, as far as that at the end of the day, they're just capitalists. They're cutthroat. What they care about is rising in their industry and their bottom line, and they will manipulate any situation to get where they're going. And I think she genuinely likes Chloe and she sees Chloe as a mentee, but I think at the end of the day, she'd throw Chloe under any moving train if she had to protect her own position.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think Nikki sees that too.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. So Chloe finds the burner phone when she's cleaning Nikki's room, and the visual of her cleaning Nikki's room is me when, like, I'll ask Darren, hey, would you mind doing the dishes tonight? And he doesn't. And the next day I'm doing the dishes, and I'm like, hate doing the dishes and saying, he's not here, but, just in my, out loud to no one, fussing. That reminded me of her hate cleaning that room. And so she immediately thinks that the phone is Adam's. And so then a lot happens in between, but we'll get to when we get to the Nikki and Chloe part together. But then the final main point for Chloe is when they're at the Hamptons and she goes for a run, do you think she knew she was being followed by the cops? Because if she did, her going to Jake's was dumb.
Well, that was one of the moments that I turned my head away, and I had forgotten. I didn't pick it up on the rewatch, and I had forgotten it from the initial watch. I didn't pay enough attention to it, but I don't think she did.
Okay.
But she needs to leave Jake. Leave that boy alone.
Yeah. See, she's
doing to him what he did to her.
What Adam did to her.
Yes.
He's obviously, I don't know. I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. I just feel like Jake's
a sweet little bunny rabbit and he's going to get flattened.
I don't think he's sweet. I don't think Jake is innocent. No.
Ooh, intriguing. I don't think Jake's a bad guy.
I'm not saying he's evil, but Jake's a little shady. And when we get to after he talks to Bill and he's leaving, there's a conversation he has that makes me wonder. He's not completely above board, but we'll get there.
I think there's something going on with that Gentry group. So there may be something there, but I don't know. I just feel like he just feels like they're setting him up to be an innocent patsy in all of this. But I don't know. Maybe I'm being misled.
Well, I'm usually right. You're wrong. So, all right. So Nikki solo moment. While Chloe is on the phone with Bill, the phone turns on and she realizes that there is, now help me see if I saw that. Was that text from Kevin or to Kevin?
I think it was from Kevin.
That was clue one, that I think Kevin is involved in this murder.
See, that burner phone is crucial to my theory as well, but I don't know if we want to get into it here or we want to go through the rest of this.
I mean, go ahead.
I'm just going to flat out tell you, I think at this point, and it could change because we still have, how many episodes left? 7?
There's 8 episodes total.
Oh, okay. So we only have 5 left. I think Kevin might have been involved in it, but I think Nikki and Ethan did it. or Nikki did it and Ethan's trying to cover for her, or Ethan did it and Nikki, but I think Nikki did it, and here's why. At least I think she's a viable contender. When they've come out of court and Ethan has been arrested and she is losing her shit about Ethan really
And
getting
she
arrested.
tells Michelle, I'll just say I did it.
And they're like, no, 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 you don't have to say that. You didn't do it. She says, I did. I think that's going to mean something. Whether that means that she thinks that she did it. And there was this other part where she's just like, she's too sure for 100% certain that Ethan didn't do it. All right, I'm going to lay out my thoughts that I feel pretty good about so far. But again, a lot of place to go. I think that she was having an affair or meeting up or something with Adam before he died. I think Nikki and Adam were in contact again. I don't know what that means. I don't know what the capacity was. I don't know. I think the burner phone she gave Ethan. And I think she and Ethan were in contact as well. I think Chloe thought Nikki was completely out of all their lives. I think at least leading up to Adam's death, there was more contact there. What that meant, what that is, I don't know. But I think on the night in question, at least Ethan and Nikki were in that house. And I think that part of what she's freaking out about now and the reason that she is, but like later when she's like, I know he didn't do this, and the way she's covering up evidence. Now it could be just because she is just a mom trying to, and she'll protect him at any cost, but I don't think so. I think she at least believes that she did it.
I don't know. I don't agree. I don't see it. As far as her being in contact with Ethan, the way she looked at him and reacted to him when she saw him, those two haven't seen each other in a long time. I don't believe that. And she was pinged in Ohio multiple times.
But what if they planned that? What if she had burner phones? Everybody's got burner phones all over the place.
I'm not saying you're wrong. That is just not my theory.
I mean, again, I'm not married to it. That's just where I'm at right now. I very much, because since the beginning, it's what they're leaving out about Nikki as much as what they're showing us that makes me feel like, at the very least, there's been more communication and things going on between her and Adam and probably Ethan than they're letting on. The fact that they're not trying even to point you in her direction is, I don't know. It's just the sense I get. And then like I got that sense from the first episode, just from the way they very clearly tried to establish that she was here and not really one of the suspects. And then just the little things like her being so adamant that he didn't do it and immediately erasing the stuff on that burner phone without even really scrolling through it or, having questions. And then when she said that just, I don't know, man. That's what I think.
All right. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right. The last little solo Nikki points. She finds the knife in the glove compartment, and then she has a vision of her dad in the car where he says, I told her to keep it clean. And then she's in the house in the Hamptons cleaning the bloodstains and the knife after Chloe goes on a run.
Yeah, that was another thing that kind of made me look side-eye Nikki too, was her cleaning it up. That's very ironic that if she were the one that she's literally here destroying the evidence.
Yeah, but they've already got everything they need from the evidence. It's not a crime scene anymore. I mean, it's still a crime scene, but it's already been processed. So her cleaning it.
The tape up.
The little cop, they don't do that. They don't clean your house. They don't come take
the
stuff
tape
down. No.
I knew they didn't clean it.
Girl, you have watched enough Law and Order to know.
Right, and they will destroy your shit too. And they expect you to just take care of that after you're gone.
All right, so next up, Nikki and Chloe together. Oh, God, I love these moments. She calls Chloe Jackie O after eavesdropping on the conversation with Catherine. And she makes a little snide comment, let's not forget about the brand. And she's totally right, because that's basically what Catherine is saying. And you mentioned it earlier. Chloe makes a little dig that Catherine is more like a sister. And then Nikki says, did you write the Wikipedia page by yourself? I was like, that's something Mandy would say.
Yeah, that was very sistery.
So they keep trying Michelle, but she's not answering. And my favorite line of this entire episode is when they make the decision to just go to the sheriff's department and find out what's going on. And Chloe tells Nikki, go get changed. And Nikki says, why? Chloe says, your age, a passing understanding of decorum, and a camel toe that can be seen from outer space.
That's so funny. Oh, that was so funny.
You mentioned when she slips Artie the 20.
That was maybe my favorite moment in that. Oh, Artie. I think Artie's shady. I think he's the one that called the paparazzi about Ethan.
See, it's in my field notes. I love Artie. I think he totally has Chloe's back. I don't think he has Adam's back. I think he saw what Adam was doing to this family, and I think that's why he stepped in. Maybe he does have something. I mean, it's who knows.
I only thought it after that episode, but I started to notice like he was on the phone, like immediately calling somebody after a conversation he had with Chloe. And then when they were like, who would have even found out this information? And then when they were leaving after she slipped him that 20 and they were going downstairs, he had this very mysterious look on his face. So
yeah, I saw those things. I just didn't think it was.
Yeah, I think he did. I think it's going to turn out. I don't necessarily think he had anything to do with Adam being killed, but I think it is going to turn out that he's been selling information about them to the tabloids.
So then Bill calls and we get confirmation that Adam was in fact meeting with the Gentry group, the Gazelle Talk, and Chloe losing it, trying to get the car to dial Michelle Sanders, and it keeps doing everything else.
She was a real one for that because that is my everyday life. I have like an older iPhone, and Tim Cook wants me to put myself further in debt by getting a new one. So the programming is not as quick as it used to be. And so I'm doing that 15 times a day. Call Becky, and it's calling like, Bethel United Services or something, right?
Yeah.
And I'm literally having that breakdown that Chloe had.
I thought it was very sweet that, Chloe, when you talked about it, but Chloe questions, what if he really did it? I thought Nikki did a great job of being the big sister and calming her down and helping her chill out. And then Chloe just like helped Nikki handle the media frenzy at the courthouse.
When they were kind of holding hands with each other.
Yeah. And then on the way out, she's like, just don't let him see your emotion. Keep your head down. So they are both freaking out afterwards. And then they go meet Michelle at the restaurant. And I love how Gloria Reuben's playing this character. And she just lays out how delays could happen, but that could be a good thing to give him time. And the face Nikki made when Chloe's organic matcha tea was set down.
I missed that.
And I loved here, it's basically laid out that only Nikki can see Ethan because she's the legal guardian, and Nikki puts her foot down and she's like, but you're going to find a way to make sure that Chloe gets to see him because Ethan needs her.
Yeah. I think she genuinely loves her kid and has realized, or is trying to put his best interest first. Of course, if she killed him and she's letting her son take the fall, I don't know how, but none of these people are saints. So I don't know. I thought that was very sweet too. And that did kind of remind me again of my mom and my aunt mom that raised me, that most of the moments in our lives, there were weird and awkward things, but I think in general, they both loved me very much and they loved each other, and that there were moments like that where they made sure that they were both included in my life, like my wedding and things like that. I thought that was very sweet.
Yeah. So then Michelle basically tells them Same thing he told Ethan. He's like, y'all have to tell me everything. I need to know everything, which I think is what prompted Chloe to run to Jake's house. She's freaking out thinking that he told them or told Michelle about the affair.
Right. I think Michelle just senses there was more there because he asked her to help, and she has had a relationship with him in the past, and I think she just has a sixth sense that there's more to that story.
Oh yeah, she's not dumb. She knew
No.
Ethan wasn't giving her the full
story.
Yeah, and so we'll see what all comes to light.
And him telling Michelle, I was trying to get that gun out of the house because I didn't trust it being there, I feel like that's a major clue.
It is, and I have a note if you want to move into Ethan and Michelle, the next point.
I think that him admitting that he didn't want the gun in the house, all I can think about that is domestic violence situations or volatile, like if his dad had an anger management problem or was really ugly, or he knows something. I guess it could turn out that he knows something about Chloe that made him think that Chloe might kill his dad. But I got the impression that it was more of he didn't want the gun in the house because he was afraid of his dad.
I wrote down, so he's honest about the gun, that it wasn't a mistake. He was trying to get rid of it because he was afraid to have it in the house. And then I put in parentheses, why, ? Because he might use it, ? Or Adam might use it, ?
And maybe it's just because I've decided Adam is a shithead, and I feel like where they're going with this is that he was at least emotionally abusive to everybody in his life, that he didn't feel safe with his dad. Like maybe it turns out that Chloe and his dad fought a lot, and he was afraid that one of them would use it on each other. But it may be that he was depressed and was afraid he would kill himself.
I was afraid he would kill himself or he would kill his dad.
Or that.
That's what I got out of it.
But I got from it that there was more going on in that house and that he was trying to keep it from his father.
So then he's talking with Michelle early on, and of course he ends up being honest about the gun, but he was originally saying that it was an accident. And then she brings up that he seems to cover for Kevin, like saying the drugs were his, hanging on to the drugs for Kevin. And it made me think about Kevin's comment about his dad being an asshole. Kevin, I feel like, because he and Ethan are obviously very close, that burner phone was directly connected to Kevin. I think Kevin would have given him the burner phone because he's a drug dealer and he wouldn't want him being able to, or using his regular phone to contact him. They have some kind of relationship that would require that burner phone.
Yeah, there's definitely something more going on there.
And then the text is from Kevin, and they spend a lot of time together. Kevin jacked up his alibi, and I think Kevin did that on purpose. And Kevin, I feel like, would have access to that house and would have at some point been able to see that alarm code. I think Kevin would have known where Ethan's stuff was in his room to take. He would have very easily been able to stage that setup scene, the break-in setup. So once that burner phone came out, and then we got the Kevin flashback about him holding the drugs, and then Michelle making that comment that, he seems to have been in trouble, but it seems most of that trouble outside of the gun has been Kevin related. Kevin's my number one suspect right now.
He definitely, I stick with my theory for now, but again, we got 5 more episodes to go, so maybe I just haven't seen Kevin enough to really develop that yet, and I just haven't picked up quite as much as what you're picking up.
Yeah.
I do think that they have a relationship, but I think my opinion is it's going to turn out his dad freaked out when he either found out that he was helping him sell drugs or that they have a relation of like a physical relationship, or both.
Oh, I can't wait to find out.
I know.
All right. So lastly on Ethan, the hearing gets moved up. We find out, and Mr. Willis, the prosecutor, oh my God, that smug look on his face. when bail was denied, I wanted to punch that guy. I
I
know
did
he
too.
was just doing his job. I feel like he was trying to prove something rather than really look at this 17-year-old kid who may or may not be guilty, but the law states innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, that he was taking out a lot of aggression on this kid instead of actually looking at what might be best for this kid.
Yeah, I think he was definitely a little gleeful and kind of shitty, but I mostly feel like that because I have already gotten some of the backstory on Ethan. But that guy, to his credit,
He was
is
right.
he's a prosecutor, and he doesn't. It's not his job to defend Ethan. It's to prosecute Ethan because he's been brought up on charges, and he's not wrong about two things. One, if he was black,
It wouldn't even be a conversation.
wouldn't even be a conversation. And two, or black and not rich, it wouldn't be a conversation. But also, two, as far as he knows, this kid's been arrested for murdering his father. He's already brought a gun to school once. It does kind of seem like, and he's wealthy. It does kind of seem like if he were the one that did it, that he could be a flight risk. So I'd probably argue the same point if I was. He didn't have to be such a shithead about it, but
Yeah, that's where it made me feel like he was.
it was a crusade.
It was a cocky thing,
Yeah.
not
Oh,
a
he definitely came
not
across
a
as cocky.
legit, not that he was genuinely worried about any of those things. He's just like, I want to I don't know. It just,
He was just trying to score points.
yes.
He was not likable.
All right, so last point before field notes. So we get back to the fuzz. So we discover the blood on the shoe was Ethan's blood. So that means it was not Adam's, which I think means Ethan's less guilty than what everybody's saying.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he still had that cut, but it came from the cut on his arm, and we still don't know how he got that
We don't know
cut.
where that came from.
Yeah.
And even the police chief said, I brushed my grandson's hair this morning. His DNA could be under my fingernails right now.
Right.
So that to me isn't a smoking gun like Nancy with that horrible hat wants to think it is.
I just don't think that was a terrible hat, but it's also a stupid mustache that her partner has.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Right on both counts.
They're funny.
Serpico, that cracked me up. Borat is even funnier.
That was best. I may refer to him as Borat for the remainder of this.
Go ahead. I think that works because I'm not going to remember his name.
So then we get they get Bill on the phone. And so they tell Bill they know the Gentry group confirmed that he sent Adam on a separate meeting. But if you noticed, Bill was surprised by that. He did not know that the Gentry group took that surprise meeting.
See, that's what I'm saying.
But he didn't let the cops know that. He acted very well done on Bill's part.
That's why I don't know that there really was a meeting with the Gentry group and that he might have been with somebody else.
Well, he tells them that he sent Adam to have a meal with the Gentry group. And then I did think it was funny real quick before we get into my next point about that. Nan flipping him off when they're on the car phone and she's flipping him off. Did you see that?
Yes.
I thought it was funny.
That was very funny.
And he's talking about the subpoena. So we know a subpoena's coming, but she's like, that queen is deleting files as we speak.
I love that. That is very true to life as far as I have experienced. There's a lot of data on this that a lot of times gay men and lesbians do not get along as much as you might think they would.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've witnessed that.
It reminds me of that episode of Modern Family where Mitch and Cam, Lily's in class with a boy who has two moms, and they're like lesbians. And then they do that graph where they're explaining why gay men and lesbians don't get along, and they do the circles with their arms, and they're like, gay men and straight women both love men, and they do the overlapping Venn diagram with their arms, but then they get to gay men, gay women, they just don't have any overlap, and they're bumping against each other. That made me laugh.
That's funny. Then he makes that gross comment telling Jake he needs to clean up Adam's mess, whatever that mess is, we still don't know. But it seems Bill thinks that Adam was being wooed by another law firm and Adam was planning to take the Gentry group with him. Okay, remember that because I'm going to throw something in there. So then he tells Jake, clean this mess up. And then he says, don't wear those trousers in the office anymore. They're very distracting. Gross.
Gross.
Bill just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. All right, so they have Jake's phone logs, and there's a lot of calls to an unknown number on Jake's phone. Could be Chloe's burner phone, which is the first thing that came to mind. So that we find out the knife is common, and then there's the great debate about who set the alarm, which I still say Kevin could have been one to have seen Ethan enter that code to the alarm.
He could have. The more interesting thing to me, and you were absolutely right, he could have. But I'm very intrigued by the difference of opinion between Chloe, who thinks that alarm is never being set, and the fact that alarm is definitely sometimes set.
Yeah.
Like, why was Adam setting it occasionally? Because it genuinely seems like she truly believes that no one ever uses that alarm, but clearly Adam was using it occasionally. So why?
Yeah. That's a good question. I loved it when Chloe shows up and gives the cops the burner phone and Nancy says, this is not the Genius Bar. And Chloe, clearly.
Yeah, that was great.
That was a great delivery.
Yeah.
And then they inform her that the hearing is in a half an hour. So that's all I have on the cops. You got anything else to add before we move into the field notes?
No.
First one is Artie, which we discussed. I love Artie. You think Artie's shady. So I'm very interested in seeing how that plays out. So Bill lied to Chloe about the meeting. Bill and Jake think Adam was looking at stealing Gentry from the company and taking them to another law firm they believe he was being poached by. And then Bill says they've been burying bodies for Gentry for a long time. And then he says, Jake, you need to go out and clean out whatever mess Adam made. And then we discuss the disgusting comment about not wearing those trousers because they're distracting. There it is. So then Jake makes a call as he's going down the stairs saying to whoever this is on the phone, the Gentry call threw Bill off track. And yes, I'll be out there so I can meet you tonight. Who was that? That was not Chloe.
That's a good question. I think there is a lot more to learn about the Gentry group.
That makes me think Jake isn't as innocent as he's coming off right now.
Yeah, well, he definitely knows things. I don't think he's the killer. I definitely don't think. I feel like they're setting him up to be a patsy, so like everybody's patsy. But yeah, he obviously knows stuff that he's not telling.
Yeah.
I feel like that when we know more about the Gentry group, I'll have a better feeling about what's going on there.
Yeah, because there's a lot of secrets that are surrounding the Gentry group that could lead to a lot of answers that we have questions
I
to.
might completely revise my theory in the next, because again, we're so early on. It may just be that anybody that we've guessed so far is not who it is, because they may just be trying to lead us down the wrong path. There's just so much we still don't know about motivations and this big ass Gentry group and everything that's going on, so yeah, that's intriguing. It was a good catch. But I don't know. I still just get the feeling that character is not going to end up being anybody that killed anybody.
I'm not sure he killed him. I don't think he's
having an affair with a married woman who was his partner's spouse. So right there, he's obviously a little bit of a moral gray area. We know at least that much about him.
Yeah. So then Jake meets with Michelle. The only thing I really wanted to say about this is her comment about the sister wives. That's new to me. Black people don't do that shit.
That was funny.
Michelle's talking about how she can't get a read on Ethan. Jake reveals how he and Adam bonded because they never really fit in with the fancy group because of their background. So that just kind of gave us a little bit more insight
Yeah, I don't buy it.
into
I don't think
how.
they bonded. I don't think he liked Adam. I think he hated Adam.
Oh, I agree with you, but it makes sense as to why he and
They might work well together.
yes, because they both like if you and I went to a Frist party, you and I would be stuck together like glue
Right.
because we're the poor people who are wearing thrift store vines and we don't fit in. My last note has nothing to do with this TV show, but TV shows in general. I cannot, and it might be because of my feelings towards food, but it pisses me off when TV shows let people order food and the food gets delivered, but they have to leave before they get to eat it. Or like in Michelle's case, when she ordered this delicious sounding Caesar salad with extra croutons, that's what I say, croutons, and she has to leave to go to this hearing before she gets. Why can't you let these people eat their TV food?
I don't know, but that speaks to our priorities, Becky, because I didn't notice that, but I did notice that when Chloe was going to meet Bill and they got this delicious looking dirty martini, she didn't get to finish it.
Yes.
She had to get up and leave before she got to finish her dirty martini. It's like a whole thing with this show.
It is. It's in TV in general. You from now on, as you watch TV,
I will. I'll pay
watch
attention to
how
that.
little people get to eat this delicious looking food that's sitting in front of them, and it makes me angry. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the mystery of this show. Not who done it, but why can't they eat it?
Oh, they do eat it when they're shoving it down their throat like they got 13 seconds to finish it when they're alone over a kitchen sink.
Oh yeah, she did get to eat that crate, but we didn't get to see her finish it.
No, or throw it up, which I feel like is the next step in that.
Ooh.
Sorry, my bad.
All right. On that note, final thoughts. I feel like I've once again said everything I need to say. This show is rocking my world. I'm going to get off this call my dad back real quick, and go watch episodes 4 and 5.
I'm excited about that. Final thoughts is just I have a theory, but I also am completely willing to let that go if we find out more information in the next few episodes, because it's just so twisty and turny that with it less than half over, I genuinely believe there's just a lot of information we just don't have yet.
Well, that segues brilliantly into the next topic, which we are calling miscalculations. And Mandy, I think, has a couple she'd like to share. Go ahead, Mandy.
Becky literally just built this in to have a public flagellation of
Objection!
her dear friend. I made 2 little errors, which basically, well, they're not deductive errors either. They're really just more about my ADHD and not paying attention.
Hold on. Before she goes into this, I want y'all to know I was minding mine own business, watching television after we recorded last week's episode. And I look at my phone and I have a text that says, hey, you were right about what Mandy's about to discuss. So I didn't call her out on it. She chose to bring this to me. When you're going to bring this information to me, how am I not going to air it?
You're not going to make a public spectacle of it.
Oh, I am. Let that be a lesson to you.
I should just never admit when I'm wrong. I feel like that's not healthy, Becky.
Well,
Chloe.
I find it very healthy that when you do tell me that you were wrong, that I tell everyone else.
Right. Well, as somebody who likes to tell, I can respect that. I was wrong about the knife. She did take it in. I missed that part. And I was also wrong about the jam. That was 2 different refrigerators. That was not her. Although I do find it interesting that she had that one refrigerator that was all, perfectly stocked. Everything was beautiful and forward face and all that. And then like in the house that they really live in, the refrigerator looked more like my nasty refrigerator that I'm going to go clean out when we get off here.
It's like the Hamptons. That's your
show palace.
So people will come visit. So if they open your fridge and all 17 jams aren't facing the right way, you're going to get notice, but at your New York house, nobody's coming over to visit. So you can actually live a little bit more how you naturally would live.
What made me think of that a scene flashing back to the jam from the first episode was one of my old bosses for the restaurant company that I worked with that was very, very meticulous and OCD and did not get married until pretty late in life because he was so OCD and particular and finicky about his appearance, his home, his decor, all of that. And so when he did get married at like 50, he was telling me this story one day when I was asking like how it was going after they had first moved in together before they got married. And he said he had to have Coca-Colas in his refrigerator, had to be grocery faced all the time. The toilet paper roll had to be changed at half a roll. You could not take clothes off and leave them on the ground. He was just very, very meticulous. And so after he'd been living with his wife for a couple of weeks, he sat her down and was like, "Hey, Vrishka, how are things going? Like, how are you feeling about us living together? How do you think that, how do do you have any thoughts? Do you have any suggestions? Anything you want me to do differently?" And she's like, "No, everything's fine. I think it's great. I'm loving it." And he goes, "Okay, now you're supposed to ask me that question," because he wanted to be able to tell her that it pissed her off that she didn't grocery face everything in the refrigerator and that she occasionally took her clothes off and didn't immediately put them in the hamper and that she wasn't changing the toilet paper roll at half a roll. Yeah, I don't know nothing about that.
I don't either, but I do know you were wrong, and I appreciate you for
So long story short, Mandy was wrong twice.
yeah.
All of those interesting observations aside, the real moral here is that Mandy was wrong.
And
Okay.
you admitted it, and
It happens
I'm
occasionally.
proud of you. I'm very proud of you.
It won't be the last time with this show.
Well, it's going to be joyful when I'm going to have to eat crow.
Yes.
So that's
For sure.
why I savor
No,
these
Becky, I will
moments.
be the bigger person. And unlike you, I am capable.
Oh, that gets a
Get baby Becky out of here. Baby Becky's giving me a "what you talking about, Willis." This is the look she's giving me right now.
all right. So let's finish off this 14-hour episode. I am happy to say we got some feedback this week.
Whee!
We got an email from our friend Penny. Penny is a fellow podcaster, and she has a wonderful podcast called Still Slaying, where she and Kara cover Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So if you're into that show and like a little bit of nostalgia, they're doing a rewatch and covering the show. So check it out. So here's what Penny has to say about episode 1. Hi, what's on tonight? I'm so glad you're covering this series, else I might not have tried it. And so far, I love it. As one of 8 kids, oh my gosh. As one of 8 kids, I love when complicated sibling relationships take center stage. These sisters, played beautifully by Elizabeth Banks, Jessica Biel, are both such interesting, flawed, layered women, and I'm on the edge of my seat for every flashback illuminating their history. Jessica Biel is generally underappreciated. I completely agree, Penny. Anyone who's enjoying this might also want to check out Candy on Hulu. So good. As for the mystery of who killed Corey Stahl, I can't even guess at this point. The son seems like a good suspect, but him being arrested in episode 2 makes me think he's a red herring. I'm going to try my hardest to watch week to week along with you. The lure of binging is strong.
Agreed.
And I have an update. I talked with Penny last night. Penny did not make it to week, and she let me know she binged
Penny!
the whole thing. So
Penny!
I did ask her when we get to the end to leave us an email on what she thought about the entire season. So I don't know that we'll be hearing from her week to week, but I'm not mad because if we weren't podcasting,
I definitely would have already watched the end of this.
I would have been finished. But thank you so much, Penny, for listening, for the feedback, and just for you. You're amazing. We heart you.
We also received voicemails from our good friend Steve Brown. Steve, I love you. I've never met you, but I absolutely enjoy your takes on everything, going back all the way to What We Do in the Shadows. Keep it coming. On the first 3 episodes, we'll start with his thoughts on episode 1.
Hello, Becky and Mandy. This is Steve, and this is going to be for The Better Sister, Season 1, Episode 1. I might try to do Episode 2 also, because I think, today's Friday, so you might be recording for Episode 2 tomorrow. I never understood people when they come home and they don't turn the lights on. I can't see in the dark, so I have to always turn lights on, even in my own home. You just walked in, gone through so many rooms, and got into the kitchen and opened the refrigerator. Yeah. Ooh, and she just stepped in blood. Hey, on the phone at least. Come on. Great. So now we're 36 hours earlier. Great. Okay, so she's a magazine editor, and her husband is late for this party, because maybe he's already dead. Oh, Matthew Modine he's aged well. I mean, except for really white hair. Hey, her husband's not dead yet, because he's at the party. I would think if I was a famous person, I would not want to go through my social media posts like that, because, just hire somebody to do it for you. Ooh, that's a, nasty CD to get in the mail, or as a present. The trolling pricks on the internet. Yeah, stay away from those. Is this now, are we caught up to the same night, or is this the night before, where she's coming back to the house? Okay, same night, so we're caught up now to present. And she has the knife in her hand this time. We didn't notice that the first time around. And now she's being questioned by the police. When Kim Dickens almost didn't recognize her. And she had 2 phones? Did she say they've only been married 10 years and this son is way older than 10? So I guess they had him before they got married? I don't understand. I mean, I understand how it works. I'm just saying it doesn't make sense in the sense of the show. So only one of them is the biological parent. I don't know. Okay, so the son is going to wait by the pool and she just disposed of one of her phones. Oops, that's a selfie. But I love it that she's quickly figured out someone staged the break-in. Okay, so she's not the biological mom. Adam is the biological father. Okay, they just said that. Ooh, and Lorraine Toussaint is got something going on there because she just said good riddance to this. The husband is dead. Oh, the knife is under the car, and it's got the husband's blood on it. Okay, so who is the biological mother? This Nikki. Okay, so Chloe and Nikki are sisters, and this is a weird relationship family. Okay, that was a lot of F words in just a few minutes. Elizabeth Banks, Nikki. Well, I guess they are sisters, they talk alike. I believe she just said she's my sister, which was the title of the episode. It's a mic drop. Well, she said she's my effing sister, but still close enough. Who is Ralph? Just go, guy. Rick. Was it Rick or Ralph? I don't remember now. I didn't want to back up to find out. Oh, and so now the police are questioning Kevin. Okay, both sisters sneaking a smoke, and that's the end of the episode. Talk to you later.
Oh, Steve.
Steve,
I
you're
love you
great.
so much. That was, I mean, I understand how it works, but I'm not sure how it
That was
works.
funny.
That was great. And let's move on to his next voicemail where he lets us know his thoughts on episode 2.
Hello, what's on tonight? This is Steve, and this is going to be for The Better Sister, Season 1, Episode 2, Lotta Sky. Wait, this isn't set in Montana. Oh, wait, no, that's Big Sky. Okay, this is Chloe psyching herself up in the mirror. Hey, in the first episode, Nikki said that she had been sober for how many years, but we saw her take those pills, so I'm not sure what those pills were she took. He's got to stand up. Why don't I just move the chair so he's not blocked by the monitor? The captain or whoever the police commander here is just called his secretary House Mouse, which is what we used to call the TI secretary when I was in basic training, House Mouse. Okay, so now Chloe is having a memory of when she first met her husband? Oh, so they were carrying on before, obviously, they got married. This must not be the first time they've met. He's hung a painting for her, and this is her thanks. Oh, and now she's meeting with a private investigator, I guess, to help her scrub her online image, track down the people who are threatening her. Oh, and the people she worked with didn't know she had a sister, but now they're going to. Does Lorraine Toussaint's character not know that Nikki is Ethan's mother? That she just asked if Ethan's... Yeah, this is not creepy at all.
That is
going through your
right.
ex-husband's things and putting on his cologne and stealing money. Whoever that is just said Lotta Sky, title of the episode, mic drop. Oh, it's a memory of her father. Whoa, Bill, sorry to hear that. You know what loss is, what sudden loss is. I mean, that's a smart thing Bill just told her to lawyer up, so you really should have a lawyer there, Chloe. Oh, yeah, it is a big deal to get a gun in New York, so to have a handgun, especially in New York. Oh, Nikki really does have some hostility towards these police. This is not tweaking. The way these two talk to each other, and the Jessica Biel and Elizabeth Banks, this is great as these sisters. Ooh, so they are coming to arrest Ethan. Oh, or just serve a search warrant. Hey, what did Ethan just put? His phone behind the couch or something? This while the lawyer is talking to the son, and you can see Chloe and Nicole just arguing on the balcony. Borat or whatever that mustache looking guy is. Oh, that was quick, Detective Nan. The search didn't last very long. Oh, they found the shoes and the stuff that he said was stolen. Oh, and when Ethan was a baby, Nicole passed out in the swimming pool. Uh-oh. All right, on to episode 3. Directed by Leslie Hope.
Oh, that was good. I thank you, Steve, for bringing up that Catherine did make that comment about her sister. I forgot about that.
I don't think that's a clue so much, just except a clue to Chloe's character of the fact that she was so conflicted and shamed by that whole thing that she didn't even tell who is seemingly her best friend.
Yeah.
But lastly, let's hear Steve's thoughts on episode 3.
Hello, what's on tonight? This is Steve, and this is going to be for Better Sister, Season 1, Episode 3. I'm going to try to keep up with y'all, but this doing 2 episodes at a time, I don't know if I can do it. Oh, this is a flashback to when he took the gun to school. Lorraine Toussaint, Catherine's hair is so big, it's like a character unto itself, especially sitting next to Jessica Biel in that bob haircut, which is really good on her. Wait, his guardian doesn't even know where her child is being held. Neither one of her moms know. His moms know. A camel toe that can be seen from outer space. Go put some clothes on, Nikki. Okay, so yeah, the lawyer's right. I mean, the gun and the drugs is not a good look for you, Ethan. Oh, Chloe just found the phone that Ethan hid. Okay, so the dad was kind of picking on him with his weight. Okay, so Chloe and Nikki are sneaking out to go see Ethan. They're avoiding the press and the cops. This thing runs on Cole, the old flip phone. There's a dongle in the console.
Dongle. That made me laugh.
I can never read text on phones and TV shows, so I don't know what Nikki just saw on that flip phone. Oh, so somebody else was trying to get Adam away from this Bill's firm. Oh, and now Jake is meeting with Ethan's lawyer. Oh, Nikki's digging through the glove compartment. She's going to find the knife. Oh, Nan just said the title of the episode, Incoming Widow, mic drop. Yeah, I'm not sure about that head either, Kim Dickens. Yeah, or that mustache dude. Hey, I have a mustache. Mine's not like a big old thick porn mustache like what this guy's got, though. Wait, so he brought the gun to school to try to get rid of it? What, was he going to give it to somebody or sell it? And here we are, the trial of the century. Oh, back to jail, no bail at all. Ooh. Oh, well, that's sweet. At least Nikki recognizes that Ethan needs both his moms. Oh, she's cleaning the knife off. Why? And she's flashing back to, I guess, this is when she was younger and her parents were, yeah. Oh, so Jake has a house within running distance of the beach house. And somebody followed her there. So you all might be right. Maybe she was having an affair with Jake. That's where it ends. Again, directed by Leslie Hope. I mentioned that the last episode, I think, because Leslie Hope was on the TV show 24 a long time ago.
Steve, thank you so much. I love a live Steve voicemail, and nobody does it like you. And I hope that you will be able to keep up with us and continue to send us some live Steves. Even if you can't do both episodes, just at least one of the episodes we're covering that week would be awesome. And thank you so much.
Yeah, we always enjoy it.
So last week's poll results.
Oh, look at that. Becky forgot to post the poll. So
I left that for you to read so you could get a little shame in on me.
thank you. That's what our whole relationship is based on. How can I make you feel crappy today?
Yes. So for this week's poll, what do we got?
Do you think Catherine has Chloe's best interest at heart? No, she's all about the Benjamins, baby. Or yes, she really seems to care about her. Y'all know where I land on that. I actually think it's a mix of both. Can we add a third option in there?
Sure.
I think it's a mix of both.
All right. That will be the third option if I remember to put it up.
Okay, well, we'll just see.
Yeah. That is today's mystery. If you would like to get in touch with us, leave some feedback, or just say hi, you can email us or send a voice message as an attachment like Steve did to what's on tonight and the number 2 at gmail.com. You can visit our Facebook page where there will be a post for the next episode, and you can leave feedback in the comments section or send us a message through Facebook Messenger. We can be found on Instagram as well at What's On Tonight Podcast and the number 2. We would greatly appreciate it if you'd like leave a review, comment, share, or whatever it is you do with your podcast listening app of choice. The more you talk about us and follow and like, the more people we can reach. And we would appreciate that. So, Mandy, how about we hop in the car with Chloe and Nikki and ride with them to the courthouse? And while on the way, we could talk about gazelles, where else listeners can find us, podcast recommendations, good TV or movies, or anything else you want to share. What do you got?
Can we smoke American spirits with them while we're...
Heck yeah.
As far as podcasts go, my other podcast is the Dinner for Her podcast, which you can find on Facebook at Dinner for Her podcast. And we just posted the latest episode this past Friday. I try to get one up every other Friday. This week, we were covering Ida B. Wells Barnett. Please, I encourage you, whether you listen to the podcast or not, and I hope that you do, please go and look her up. If you are from the United States, we owe her such a debt that it's really criminal that we did not learn more about her growing up in American history classes in our public school systems. There are significant things that she did to make life better for not only African Americans, but all Americans, particularly women. And it's just, I can't overstate how important she was. And it truly is a crying shame that more of us don't know more about her and her work. She was really phenomenal. Just a heads up, while we've been recording, my mother has been texting me, telling me that she found the audio subpar for that episode, which I will just tell you has more to do with my lack of skills as a sound engineer. I am just learning all of this stuff, and I'm doing it solo for the most part. So apologies for that, but it's not inaudible. You just may have to adjust your volume a little bit, because my co-host is my friend Robin, who is pretty soft-spoken. But yeah, I think it was a great episode. Hopefully you enjoy it. And if not, just please go check out Ida B. Wells.
Awesome. I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but I look forward to get a chance to listen.
It's going to make you mad, but I think it'll be really inspiring as well.
Well, you make me mad all the time, so.
Right. And you move on.
Woo! Murder Magnets with Podcastica are continuing our coverage of Poker Face starring Natasha Lyonne. This season is so good, and the podcasts are a lot of fun. So if you're watching that show, please check us out. And Run for Your Lives just released their coverage of the surprisingly good movie The Gorge on, you can find it on Apple TV, and that's with Daphne and Paik. Please check them out. I'd like to give a big thank you to Mark and Pirate Corp Entertainment for giving us this platform. Please visit the Pirate Corp website. You can find it on our Facebook page. There you can find our podcast, as well as other podcasts like Panels to Pixels, Adrenaline Cinema, and Dinner for Her with our very own Mandy. And you can also find other projects Mark is working on.
Well, that wraps up our coverage of episodes 2 and 3 of The Better Sister. We'll be back next to cover episodes 3 and 4 titled Gazpacho and Just Ask.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. You may have to fight a battle more than once to win it. So please stay strong. Keep fighting the good fight. We're all here with you. I'm Becky.
And I'm still Mandy.
We'll catch you next week when we grab the remote and see what's on tonight. Bye. Enough with the Jerry Springer antics.
Sick burn, 1998.